Great. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm David Blackstein with Bard College in New York. I actually live in Maryland, outside Washington, D.C. I am the co-director of Worldwide Climate and Justice Education Week. That is coming up very soon, the week of April 7th. But one of our um, mantras is that Climate Education Week is really an opportunity for people to do what they could and should do every day, which is to educate others and themselves about climate change, climate solutions, and climate justice. So I'm not going to really talk about our project. I think most of you know about it. Ebony, Paula can maybe put a couple links in the chat for you to connect with us. And instead, I'm going to turn to a giant in the field, Radhika Iyengar, who with Columbia University and the Earth Institute and the Climate School, and is involved in more global partnerships for education and sustainability and climate education than I can even keep track of myself. And so, Radhika, thank you for taking the time to join us. And we look forward to hearing your presentation about networks and how people can be engaged.
Thank you so much, David. It's such an honor to be here. And then, of course, as I mentioned, we need to continue these discussions, see how we can collaborate with each other. So your network of worldwide teach and climate justice is really helpful in making those connections and really seeing how we can work with each other and benefit from each other's expertise. So very glad to be here, and such a great topic to also discuss. Since it's such a small group, let's just have a conversation rather than a formal presentation. I have a presentation I can bring up on a 2 slides, but I think it will be nice to have a much more of a dialogue rather than a presentation at 8 in the night and in Japan early in the morning. So let's just dig in here. So on the topic of networks, I think what at some point in time, this was a couple of years back, I was doing a lot of environmental education work, education for sustainable development, doing a lot of events, working on a lot of reports with UNESCO and otherwise, and publishing a lot of papers. But then somehow, somewhere, I felt that where is this work going? And I just like thought that there is like nothing really changing on a mass scale. Like it will take forever. Plus, the climate, of course, problems that we are seeing with the carbon emissions and with all of the things that are there, it seems to rise exponentially. And I felt like so small in terms of what was going on, but there were only 24 hours a day, and I could do what I could do. So at that point in time, couple of years back, I kind of like thought that this no, not there needs to be something else, and something else is missing. So I started looking around for like, okay, who can I work with? How can I partner with people? And realized that everyone was very open to be, open for partnering. How that shaped up, we didn't know, but everyone was excited. Yes, it's a good idea. Let's see how we can work on together. In my field in research, partnering means you write a paper together. But this was more about partnering with a to change things and to connect with people for something you don't even know, like how will we partner and what we will do was unknown at that time. But we still said, okay, let's just see what we can do. So one of the partnerships, just giving some examples and then we can get into more specifics, and please feel free to jump in and give some examples yourself as well. So one of the examples was um, UNESCO was doing all this work, but in the US, I couldn't see much in terms of education for sustainable development related dialogue. And UNESCO would come in every fall around September during UN General Assembly. We would have all these amazing discussions. And then I would see nothing happening. Of course, they would be doing much more on the international front, but in the US, I was feeling a little bit more again, not really understanding how it will all play out. So I started working on seeing how we can bring in much more of a momentum on education for sustainable development here in the US. And I'm sure there are many players here, and I'm just one of the people here who are trying to focus on sustain education for sustainable development. And I didn't know who else to approach. So in my network, we have this Sustainable Development Solutions Network, which is a network of universities. I can send the link again. And I decided, okay, they have a SDSN USA chapter. Let me see if I can draw the link. SDSN USA. So a couple of us, so basically we decided, okay, let's do something on education. Now, if you see their initiatives, there are many initiatives that SDSN USA did. And I wanted to bring much more of a much more of a sense on education. Their education part I didn't see much, and they have, if you see the link, they talk about climate and energy, diversity, equity, justice. Of course, these words have a different meaning now: zero hunger, tracking SDGs, everything else. And then I've started focusing on building a network on Mission 4.7, which is a SDG 4.7, Global Citizenship Education, Education for Sustainable Development mainly. And a lot of people joined. And so the idea was, what do we do from here? And it was very vague. Like, we kept having all these meetings. Deepak is here. He was one of the folks who said, okay, let's see what we can do. And we created this whole kind of network. It has a listserv. I keep sending some resources over. People keep sending me so that I can, share it. We have a resource library, and we worked on this idea of, creating our own climate summit. So we did an online summit. It was very successful. A lot of people joined, and a lot of discussions, debates. Students joined from school, universities, professors from various places, practitioners. So then I started feeling a little bit more comfort that, okay, I'm not alone. There are many people here, and it's great that we are all together. And how can we now work from each other? And then, based on all of those discussions and things that went ahead, we started working on we had created this small secretariat. Deepak can speak more. He was a part of the secretariat there. And we said, okay, now this event is done. And there were all these different sections that came up, different small working groups. This SDSN group was very helpful in making coming and doing like coffee hours, virtual coffee hours. No one wanted to learn about, okay, new field, something. It was more about, let's see who is there and can I learn something, and bring expertise to myself. That is at least in my personal view, which was very, very much like, okay, I want to learn what others are doing and how I can benefit from others' expertise. That was the idea. We all came together. We did this climate summit, and then after the summit was over, we worked on a proceedings, like a conference proceeding paper, which was again published, not in a journal, because if it was published in a journal, only few people would like view it. It was publicly posted. I can send the link so that everyone will be able to publicly view it. It was not behind journal walls. And then we started thinking about, okay, let's take this forward and work with and go to COP. So conference of parties, couple of us gathered together. We didn't know each other, and they were all from various places. This was the first time after all these Zoom meetings where we were actually there in Dubai and having to see each other. It was just like a party, because I'd never met them before. It was the first time we were seeing. So we were able to present a very interesting paper and very bring in all these ideas about youth, and about how we need to support them, and what are some youth education initiatives on climate. So that was our conference of parties presentation. I can share all of those links as well. So that was something that was the first time I realized that my movement is much it needs to be, it's a small thing, and I needed to be connected, and there are many people out there who would like to be connected, and we are in this together. is not a lone struggle. And so that's the idea of the network. And so since then, we've been working together with a lot of different entities, working on various different topics, on various different topics. The other thing I wanted to mention is what do we do with these networks? Let me just maybe quickly do share the PowerPoint that we had worked on. Oh, I need to, David, I will need your permission to share. Perfect. So here, what did we do with all the networks? Because it was very unclear how will each one participate. So we decided, okay, let's see what we can do. So we also, around the same time, we created this mission 4.7 that brought in all these different entities together. And we decided, let's see what we can, come up and how we can focus on things. So we started working on sustainable development goals, knowledge, skills, values, and competencies. We worked on all these different aspects, especially environmental aspects, which are education for sustainable development. And we also started focusing on again, peace and human rights, bringing all the entities, bringing all the different concepts of SDG 4.7 together. So we created, again, I think I already mentioned this. I wanted to come to something which is a little bit more concrete, which is this which is the network that, so at the same time, parallelly, UNESCO was doing this amazing greening education partnership discussion. And this came about 2 years back during UN General Assembly. They said that, okay, we are all in this together. Let's see how we can build on our networks that is especially for greening education. Greening education has the schools, community, teachers, and curriculum, the four pillars that they have. So they created this, groups that we are all, working towards. Apart from this four, there is also a higher education group. I am also one of the organizers of the higher education group, which is, again, this is all led by people like you and me. It's UNESCO convened, but it's led by people who are wanting to do something in this space. So I thought this was very, very unique because UNESCO traditionally created reports and frameworks that were very helpful, presentations with the ministers. But this was for the first time, at least in my, I've been working on education for sustainable development. It started creating these groups of individuals, organizations that are wanting to do similar things and have bucketed all these people into various sections. You can obviously, there will be a lot of overlap, but it was a great platform to at least start having all these dialogues and learning from each other. So people, if nothing else, people in the chat keeps talking about the organization emails. So then I'm like, oh wow, this is amazing. I also want to learn from this person. I look at the website and, like, I connect offline and irrespective of whatever the agenda is. And they do all these amazing webinars. I suggest to definitely look at their website, join their listserv, and join the webinars also. I can share the link very soon. So that is a parallel UNESCO thing that was going on alongside, again, focusing on networks, which was such a great way to, like, build this whole momentum that was going forward. Then this is already I mentioned about Mission 4.7's resource that is available. We started also focusing on a lot on, like, events in person. This was after COVID. Actually September 2024, where we started bringing in a lot of world leaders, talking about education for sustainable development, see how we can go forward, especially also in the US context. Types of collaborations, as I mentioned, sometimes it was just bringing people together just to share a smile, because I mean, we just needed each other just to be there. And I mentioned reports and briefs and policy aids. I think people just needed to share what they are doing. And if there is any connection, we can obviously do, like, exchange business cards or something, and that will be it. Of course, if you want to build much more further work, we worked on all these reports and everything together. This was one of the things that we presented at COP, as I mentioned. This is again available. I can definitely share. We can connect after this meeting is over. working on this report that was there. You can see the amount of number of people who are actually on these reports, which was just amazing to get everyone's ideas together. So yeah, and then later on, it just became very clear that it was everyone needed pedagogical tools, and so Professor Sachs, who's a professor and his work is to create courses, he create this online course available for free, and anyone can take it. And this has been my work on crafting this course and putting curricular resources together for this over the past 1 year. And I would really urge you to, like, see the curriculum, see if it is useful. It gives a historical underpinning and sociological as well as religious, as well as, I would say, it's like this whole systems learning approach coming together on understanding why have we reached this space, what are some of the current challenges, and how did we what are some current challenges that we are facing. So we started working on this curriculum because everyone said, okay, great idea to form networks, but how do we start to learn about it? And to me, education for sustainable development was very local. Like, I am here, I live in two continents, in India and in the US. And so in India, very specific, I want to know what I can do locally. In the US, I live in New Jersey, what can I do locally? So this gave me a space to really understand the broader context. And secretly, I am the course designer, but I was also taking the course because he is just such a phenomenal teacher that I was like, okay, this is really amazing to hear about human history and how we have reached this space, and how we can actually learn about taking local action but really understanding the larger space. So started working on this, and it is at least a place where we can say, okay, if you are interested in education for sustainable development, here is a place to start. And then now it depends on our networks and how we want to structure it, how we want to shape it to go forward. So I want to just plug in for all our, again, talking of networks, thanks to David, we've come together to celebrate Earth Month next month. So one of our main things is events. We do a lot of events so that we can bring people together and share all these ideas. So the first one is barriers potential in using social emotional learning towards climate justice. I've been in discussion with this group in Pakistan and India. We have just been emailing each other without any consensus, because we have not reached on any consensus. Everyone is busy sharing their work, and we are all getting confused. So now that we have this event coming together, we have to all look very professional. And so we will somehow manage to form something which is a little bit more coherent and will present something. So it's like a timeline for us that, okay, now we need to present what have we been up to. So something there. And then we are also, we have all these events that are coming from Malaysia, partners there. So again, something to come together as a group and say that, okay, yeah, we are doing this, and if there are any ideas, let's take it forward. Colombia's network is, I think that was discussed in the morning, so I don't want to repeat it. We can see the video, but this is more about like Colombia's Biden initiative, community initiative on climate education that we will be showcasing. And then higher education institutions and sustainability is the higher education group that I mentioned earlier on. I'll share the LinkedIn group also with this. This is the Greening Education Partnership, UNESCO's. So if you are interested in higher education, I think this is a really good group to see how we can, learn from each other. Ages of Globalization, I already mentioned. And then this group is youth empowerment is another SD, Sustainable Development Solutions Network. We are working on a journal special edition together. So this is some of the, amongst the 40 authors, there are some people who have come here. And then this is also in conjunction with ECOSOC, the UN group. So again, lot of different, as you can see, lot of different people, but that's what we need to learn from each other and, to take all our discussions forward. I want to also quickly share another group just to give you a flavor of network. So far I've mentioned Mission 4.7. I've mentioned SDSN, Sustainable Development Solutions Network. I've mentioned Mission 4.7, which is very concrete to education. SDSN is much wider. It does like energy and all sorts of things. Then And I've mentioned mentioned Greening Education Partnership, UNESCO's Greening Education Partnership. Now this one is Arizona State University got this grant to again come up with networks of networks. It's really an amazing group of scholars and practitioners who have come together to discuss all of these aspects of collaboration. And it's such a difficult thing also to do, as you can imagine, because all of us are coming from different angles. So how do we come together to share a common approach? It requires like really a different, scoping mechanism, because I can talk about my work endlessly, but what about the other person? They have also done a lot of work, right? And I need to find some space to talk about, to learn from. So how do we manage that with like 50 people coming together on the same table? And guess what, whenever they have their meeting, I'm most excited because I'm mostly interested in going to Arizona, leaving New Jersey, and like looking at, all of the cactuses and everything, and just boiling down to forget about all of this. Just let's, learn your names, and let's see what you do, and see who you are, and that will go much more, that will have a lasting relationship rather than any form, any funding, any programs. They will be in and out. But if I know you as a person, I know you will be there, and I will reach out to you because I know you. So lunches and dinners and landscape in Arizona is something that I actually look forward to in this network. And finally, this is the UNESCO Higher Education Group. This is the one that they have created for higher education. Now, if you join the Greening Education Partnership, if you're not interested in higher education, don't join. This is about universities. But if you are interested in Greening Education Partnership, I would suggest, I don't have all the groups because this is the one that we created, but go to their website, Greening Education Partnership website on UNESCO, and see okay, here is the website, and join their webinars and their listserv. I think it's really a nice space to again see how we can all, learn from each other, and specifically focus on various topics amongst the 4 pillars that they have. So finally, lot of different ways of getting together, having all the networks. We are not here alone, and I think it is helpful to see who's out there and how we can expand our reach and collaborate. But how that and what is the shape of the collaboration, forget about it, because we that will only happen, or that will only come when you are actually in discussions. So no need to like think about, oh, what will we do and how will we this will be, it's too early to think about all of that. If you want to reach out, and then in all of these groups we can always find a way to work together and bringing all the expertise together. So yeah, yeah, maybe we can just open it up to more discussions or more questions.
Wow, that was great. I love the just the narrative that you've woven and how these opportunities fit together. So, does anybody have any questions or comments? We have quite a bit of time for people to um, react or share. Or so, go ahead if anybody wants to start.
Deepak,
Go ahead.
I will definitely start and just say thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for the information. What resonates with me is it reminds me of something that Brian Stevenson said about proximity, right? Really getting proximate to people, getting proximate to the issues that we're investigating and interrogating and trying to solve for, so that we truly understand it and we truly build relationships outside of it, because it can't be the only thing holding us together, right? And so thank you for that. Thank you like tremendously for that. I am interested on it from a multitude of angles, from someone who is at the front line of climate injustice, right? As well as environmental injustice. I know that's a word to your point that people are trying to hush, but it's real and we can't exclude that.
We're not
There are
hushing it, don't
certain
worry.
there's certain communities that, that feel it closer than others, right? But it takes all of us to really feel it for us to create a tipping point for something different. And so I just really thank you for that empathetic and that humane perspective on the research. And I'm also interested in, as someone who leads community and youth participatory research. So how do we elevate the everyday community member as an expert, as a conveyor of research in ways, to your point, that gets beyond that journal paywall or that journal wall or that whatever it is. All of that. Just really thank you for all your words. And I would love to have the link for the events. I don't think I captured that link, the events that you're offering.
Yeah, and I'll just say that we will be sending out a follow-up, an email to everybody with the recording and the presentations and also the recording from the webinar that we had earlier today. So and links that the Radhika puts in, and if any of you have links that you want to share, because as Radhika says, we're all learning from each other. The link that Ebony put in there wasn't copied quite right from the screen. So here's the link of the Earth Day ones. And I'll also just say, while I'm interrupting, that uh, with Worldwide Climate and Justice Education Week, that we will have, it's whatever people organize it is best for them. And so there will be a combination of in-person events, hybrid events, virtual events, classes, playing games and things. But for the virtual events, we will be putting together a communication about virtual events and opportunities to join in because we are a global community, but we need to create ways to actually interact, create that proximity, at least in a virtual sense here. So, um, Radhika, did you want to respond at all to what Ebony said?
No, I think I'm just very interested in Ebony's title here, Harvesting Humanity. So I don't know if you want to talk about it a little bit more, Ebony. Or you are
Yeah,
on mute.
and you need to unmute again.
I was teaching at a middle college at the time, so 11th grade AP Language and Composition. And we had a school-to-school collaborative with students in Moldova. And here in North Carolina, they're our sister country. So our military was teaching their military how to, be this newly independent from the Soviet Union. So there was that level of relationship. Our nurses were teaching their nurses how to bring their country back, how to help folks. And as educators, we were partnering with the schools. And we made a presentation, and the gentleman before me, I remember it just like yesterday. He said, we're teaching them how to harvest potatoes. And I went up right after him, and I remember saying, we're harvesting more than potatoes, we're harvesting humanity. Because these students, like, the students from Moldova are very, they all look alike. They were really surprised that my classes were so diverse, and they were like just enthralled at being able to have conversation even virtually. And then their teachers actually came and visited our school, and so that relationship has just continued to grow, and we keep in touch. And it's been, to your point, that concept of getting to know people in ways that inspire you beyond just the work of it. So that's how Harvesting Humanity got its name.
I love that. I love that. That's great. So Bhagyashree has a question in terms of how to get associated with GEP and other of some of these other networks and communities that you talked about, Radhika.
Yes, I sent a link. They keep doing all these webinars. Another thing, there is also join us. If you see the link, definitely subscribe to the newsletters, because it's just going to give you some best practices across the globe and become a partner. And I think it's also helpful to like have like some regional connections. If you're there in Japan, maybe you can see what's happening in and or ask questions in the webinar that, okay, is anyone here in Japan? You'll find like people responding, oh, I'm here, let's connect. I think that will help to make those local connections possible. Or if nothing else, like you can just be there amongst the four pillars that I discussed: community and schools and other teachers and higher education. You can just join one of the groups and be a part of the webinars or suggest ideas.
Can I still ask a question? It's
Of
okay.
course.
Okay, so thank you so much, Dr. Radhika, for wonderful explanation and whatever initiatives are taken. It's a wonderful job, and I'm so happy. Uh, I should not be, but that there are few people right now, so that we can communicate directly in a way. So my point is, I follow greening education curriculum closely. So I very much take guidance from everything, from ESD, UNESCO ESD, as well as greening education curriculum. The thing is, I'm very new. Like I transform myself from academics to working in education, as I think that it's very, very important, and that to my education, I did not know many things which I should have known when I was in school. So that's why I wanted to work in education sector. And now when I'm currently talking with a school to implement these programs. So I am not a school, or my whatever I'm doing, the organization or startup is very new. So the school asks if I'm connected with something like GEP or UNESCO. So I am connecting myself with the other initiatives related with ESD and UNESCO in Japan. But I wanted to know if I can get connected with GEP, not as a school, or maybe if my organization can get associated with it, or if I can participate in any curriculum development sessions or something, developing something like that.
Hmm. First of all, I feel that you are doing a wonderful job. You don't need anyone else's endorsement that, yes, now you are part of this and now you are part of that. You continue doing your work,
Mhm.
Bhagish.
Mhm.
Have to look at, definitely connect with others, to learn from others. There is also this in the link that I shared. There is this get involved. There is this become a partner. So there are many organizations like yours who have become a partner, which basically means that you will also be associated with them in terms of UNESCO, in terms of this whole, movement, and
Mhm.
you'll get more information. Becoming a partner, meaning at least they have you there, you are there on the listserv, you can share your best practices, and they will be sharing all the newsletters. You can participate in the webinars. So that's, maybe you can start with that group. Other I mean, we are my network mission 4.7 doesn't work in Japan, so I don't know how helpful I will be in that space, but definitely in India for sure. If you're working on something, we can learn and work on this in this space together. But yeah, I suggest to continue doing all these things, and others will join you. But they will learn from you to see how they can join you. So don't worry about being like, oh, I'm alone and I'm doing this, and it's fine. The world is going on because we are all in our own ways doing what we can. We are not looking for like big organizations trying to support you. We are who we are, and I think this is just such a great, approach to local resources are best, and local, you will find a champion teacher. I think that would be more useful than bringing anyone else, into the picture. So continue doing whatever you can, and definitely reach out if I can help with anything. I'm available.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Radhika.
David has posted something.
Yeah, so this, I was going to send it by email, but I thought this was a good discussion question. So this is from somebody emailed me the other day, and I've yet to respond to them. So they're want to write a dissertation on. It's a complicated question, so maybe more than we can talk about now. But sort of how English language textbooks deal with environmental issues in Pakistan, literature. So basically, the question of um, to evaluate and critique textbooks, specifically textbooks, as a research project. And so, Radhika
Yeah.
or anybody else here, do you have a sense of where we might direct them to be looking at the question of textbooks in particular?
Yeah, so this is a current project that another network is doing. It's the MEES network, and they are looking at social studies textbooks. They are looking at science textbooks. I'm not sure about literature. I'm not sure about language textbooks. But I think this would be a very good, starting point. They have all these country profiles, country case studies that they have worked on. If you look at all of these here, I think in Pakistan should be one of them. Here is the country profiles, and they are also working on, I think, is it in the case studies or is it somewhere else? The textbooks, and definitely they are also working on like national policy frameworks, because they've mentioned like NCF 2018, to see how much of that includes environmental aspects. So I think this is a good, research group to be working on. They are looking at, they have created these regional hubs. So again, something to at least for that area would be a good place to look at and connect and see if there are, and definitely they are looking at all the policy related documents as well as textbooks. I'm not sure specifically if it is there for Bangladesh, I mean for Pakistan, but definitely a good group to again connect and together.
Yeah, thank you. That's a good place to start. So Maria Julia, you've been sitting here listening with us and making complimentary comments in the chat. Did you have anything you wanted to share about your work in Mexico, or any questions that you wanted to ask? Yes. ¿Tiene unas preguntas? ¿Tiene en el chat? Well, we're waiting to see whether Maria Julia has any questions in the chat. Bhagashree, why don't you go ahead and ask the question that you put into the chat, because it's a really good question. It's a question of evaluation.
Okay, so thank you so much again for the opportunity. So I want to analyze the current knowledge, the knowledge after the skills and resources or knowledge gained after we implement certain program related with SDGs specifically. So are there any current readily available modules where we can input data and analyze, or maybe the process of developing any such module so that we can evaluate maybe the knowledge or the impact of climate change, or when we talk about bringing systemic change in how school operates, like changing the policy or maybe energy structure or maybe resource consumption. So to analyze the impact of the changed policy, is there any module available, or is there any course or maybe the process available where we ourselves can make such a module? Thank you for the opportunity.
Good question, Bhagishree. So, I think you will have to combine a few things here. One is this UNESCO report on what are we measuring. Like, I think it helps to understand what are the outcomes that we are looking at. So this report actually gives a sense of what happens in the schools and how we can actually, what are the outcomes we need to be looking at, and what are the curricular alignment that we are looking at. So this at least will give you the indicators. Then the other thing is the process, as you mentioned, this MEES network has these global indicators. So it actually helps you to look at country view and look at what indicators they are proposing, whether the indicators are going up, down, what is happening. At least you'll get a sense at the macro level. You will have to probably translate things at the local level to see, what is your intervention, and align the indicators to your interventions locally. But at least you'll be able to get a broader view of these indicators here. Another thing I wanted to mention, not directly related to SDGs, or maybe it is, I wanted to share this inner development goals. They are mostly like, because in the education world, what we've been saying is that, just cognitive abilities are not okay. It's not showing any improvement. Behaviors are not changing. People may be becoming much more knowledgeable about plastic waste, but the behavior is not changing. So this is another group which is basically saying, let's think about different ways of looking at what will help to have a correct mindset. So this inner development goals, I am still reviewing it. It's not like I know this group very well, but I feel that they have a really good way of like looking at self-assessment, cognitive skills, social skills, relational skills. So this might be able to at least get you started. So yeah, no one answer here, but a couple of resources that you can look at to see what works on your end.
All right, you're getting lots of hearts for that one.
Thank you.
I have a question connected to that, and it's probably more for you. Can you please pronounce your name? I don't want to beg you.
Radhika. Yes, Radhika. Oh,
No,
Bhagyashri.
no, not Dr. Can you say it again?
Bhagyashri.
Bhageshri.
Bagashi?
Yeah.
Thank you. I was wondering how much the teachers, the other teachers in the school and in the system, enforce or teach about, sustainable goals or anything. Like what is the climate like in the school? I know they're bringing you in to do some of that, but is there a sense that they practice it, I guess is the question I want to know.
Are you, this question is directed to me?
Yes, to the students that you say you work with the schools in Japan.
Yeah, so I don't work with many schools. Currently, I am talking with one school, and I have engaged with other schools as well, but I am not working anything in the school. So my observation is, here I work with international schools mainly, considering currently my Japanese is not very good, where I can engage in climate change domain with the Japanese schools. And what I hear from people I talk with is, Japanese schools are very rigid when it comes to implement anything new. So it's difficult to change the structure how it works. Related with international schools, kids, particularly younger kids, first to fourth, are very interested, excited, and know about the solution. The elder kids, they are not very into doing anything, kind of my observation. So they're like, we want to finish this curriculum or something like that. And SDGs, when I talk, everyone is excited, like, yes, let's do this, let's do that. But when I had a survey with them, so there was contradiction, like, do you think SDGs are impactful when to change the system or everything? So 100% were yes. But do you know about SDGs? No. Do you integrate SDGs in your daily curriculum? Rarely, or something like that. So and also it's 2025, so SDGs are like 2030, but still many of the teachers as well are unaware that there are 17 SDGs, or which SDGs works with what. So why I wanted to work in education is, again, that to this level also we are not familiar with the basic concepts, where although SDG include everything, almost everything. So it was proposed in 2015, and I got to know in after 2021 or 2022. So I think among the teachers as well, there is not much enthusiasm in teaching SDGs or climate change, not at all. But SDGs has the fame. So when we talk about SDG, they are like, yes, yes, SDGs. But when only climate change, so they are not very much interested. Is my observation, a very limited data set. But yes, thank you. Thank you for your question. I
Thank
hope I
you.
answered.
Yes, you answered. That was, yeah, because I find, like, I've been studying forest schools, and like in countries where they exist, you have more of a connection to it. But to your point, that's at a certain grade level and the tail is off. And by the time they get to, you know, if it's not ingrained in the overall community and culture of the place, it tends to wane off the older. And that's why I wondered how many teachers find it critical to teach about, even to understand themselves.
I did not find any enthusiasm in many teachers. Maybe it's me, the people who I contacted, maybe there are present others whom I do not know. But as per my data set, teachers are, although they are interested in teaching, but they are not equipped with the skills and knowledge, and they want to just finish the set curriculum in the academic year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, very nice exchange. So are there other, Radhika, did you have other things that you wanted to share with us at this point?
I think, yeah, if there are any questions, otherwise we can definitely connect, offline if there is any other follow-up or any other questions. But I definitely suggest that, David's Worldwide, Climate Justice Teaching, attend as many events as possible. It's a great place to, again, have these interactions, and as well as UNESCO's webinars.
Yeah, well, thank you. Deepak, did you want to add anything or ask some? You always have great questions, great
I
insights.
mean, first and foremost, it's a delight to see Radhika again. It had been a while since we had connected, but I mean, to echo like the network benefit, it to me that particular period, when I met with this particular group, and I would simply look forward to each time I would meet the people. It was just a wonderful group of people that simply came together, and it's not that this was specifically handpicked by any specific individual. These are people who found an interest in this, and we all just came together, worked on like two papers, um, and coming from the world of tech as well, for like 10 years prior to that, and just coming into this and just bonding with everyone has been a truly delightful experience for me. And I look back and I mean, it just has been a wonderful, wonderful time. And one of the network effects and the virtual coffee chat that Radhika was talking about is what also led to my current job. I met Richard of City Atlas, right? And he then proposed a project for me to work on, which then simply led to me deciding to simply work there and be there full time. And so that has been a fantastic outcome. And one other point so first and foremost is this, I think these type of network efforts and people coming together, and like with what Radhika was saying about that time that, she looks forward, like when she goes to Arizona, for instance, and, meeting with the ASU collaborators, and that those type of relationships are so fantastic. And to me, on one side, it just reminds of who we are as humans and wanting to actually connect and develop those type of rapport and relationships. The second thing that it also helped connect us, helped establish is how all our roles could kind of, go through different pathways, but it's those particular relationships that we have that also then helps weave in interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary experiences along the way. So these are things, in my opinion, that continues to reap benefits in just simply so many different forms along the way. And then lastly, just a something else that I wanted to add, for a good period of time, I used to do a lot of community work. I used to be at Google. I used to do a lot of community work, and um, one of the things that we would very intentionally design as a part of the activities, like in-person activities that we would also host, is the social and the networking side of things, when people could actually just meet with each other and get to know one another. And initially, I would be very, very, very focused on content and delivery of content and curating every minute of those particular 3 or 5 day summits, let us say, that we would host. And then I was mentored and I was advised to also then factor in really significant experiences for people to simply be able to befriend each other and let them all have fun. And once I made that happen, it was wonderful to see how it would help build memories, and that would then again lead to a lot of impact. So I think I'm just wanting to share this because my oldest community, and I started in 2013 at Google to manage the Google Student Ambassador Program, and I have phenomenal relationships with all of them. And even to this day, and with what I'm doing right now, some of the people who have been adding a lot of value and helping me are the ambassadors from 12 years ago. Right? I mean, they're all working professionals now. They're no more undergraduates. They're not undergraduate students anymore. But the fact that, I was able to add value, the brand was able to add value, and that relationship simply means that, I reach out to them and then they're able to uh, help, when as of today. So I don't have any significant insight to share, but I think what I'm trying to say is that these just the basic interactions that we have, and I just wanted to kind of reassert that experience that Radhika shared, which I think is absolutely profound. And the profoundness also comes from a big realization that I've had, that sometimes we think that if we stop doing a particular line of work, what's going to happen to it? And then I learned in a very, very hard way that work goes on, the planet moves on, people move on, things are not tied to me. Right? And so then the focus on the self, and then the focus on the self within that particular group or a community or a network then also becomes a highlight. And so I learned it the hard way, but then at least I learned it young, earlier than later. And so I just wanted to kind of share this insight that goes simply beyond professional transactions. But then these particular networks allow for beautiful friendships and a huge warmth. I just saw Radhika on the panel, I see David on the panel, and to me, there's just a sense of warmth because I just cherish these particular conversations.
Thank you so much, Deepak. Deepak and I didn't know each other, and just because of all this, discussions, whatever, we are okay, chatting and emailing, and it just, has a life on its own.
Yeah, no, it's funny because I realize as we're talking, yes, Radhika, you and I have never met each other face to face, but I feel like I know you quite well because we've interacted so much virtually and even have some direct phone calls. So it's so well. I thank you. It is the top of the hour and it's late for people. So I just want to thank you, Radhika, for sharing your insights, your resources.
Oh, did we lose him?
Yeah, I think he froze.
Yeah.
I
Internet
hope
is
he'll be back soon. Or maybe we could just close off the meeting for the night.
Thank you again. Have a great evening.
Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Radhika. Thank you, Deepak. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you all. Thank you.
See
Thank
you
you.
again. Bye.
Have a good one.
I'll send an email soon.
Okay. I'll let you know. You froze and I dismissed everybody.
Okay, good. Well, thank you. That's why I made you the co-host so you could do all of that. Yeah.
And Radhika
Oops.
said that she'd
Am I
send you an
frozen again?
email. No. Yes. Now you're frozen. Oh, this is still recording. Thank you.